Hello everyone. We're going to do a sea scene. This is Padstow, which is on the west coast of England. And when the tide goes out, the boats simply sit on the ground. That's how strong the tide is. It's similar to Alaska where the tide goes out. And I want to show you something that I have used before, and I don't know, some of you, this may be new to some of you. This is a ruling pen. It is a mechanical drawing tool. The tip adjusts to close and open, and I use it for mask. So we're going to use some mask today because there are some small lines that I'm going to show you. And there's some places that are white that I'm not going to use mask. So this is just for places where I need to save the white this time. I don't usually use mask very much. So you just tighten this and let it go. It costs about $7. You can get it at Jerry's. You can get it at Cheap Joe's. You can get it at Blick's. It's a very common tool and a great thing to have because you can paint lines with it too. You can also put watercolor in here. And then if you want to paint a line, a straight line, you can use a ruler to line it up and just follow the ruler and it will work. It takes a little bit of practice, but very little. So if you are needing something like this, it is a great tool. I'm also using my Incredible White Mask, which is what I use. I've used Richardson's. I don't like Winsor Newton's very much. This is the one that seems to work the best for me, and it shows up yellow. They all have a slight tint in them so that you can see them when you've laid them down. This one is yellow, which works fine for me. And what I do is I usually dilute it by about a quarter because it's thicker than it needs to be. And then I pour it into, this is an applesauce dish. And I simply dip it in there. You can see that the ink or the glue is now in there. Just tap it a little. And then you can just run it along on a line. And it makes a very fabulous line, as thin or as thick as you want it to be. So this is a great little tool, and if it dries in there, and sometimes it does, if you're doing a lot, it'll start drying around the edges, just pull it off. So the extra just comes right off. No problem. It's a very easy tool. All right, so that's a recommendation for today, and we're going to so I'm going to paint this scene, which I have now put mask on the back of. And I've taken some things out. So there's a bunch of junk in the middle here. I have taken a picture of the picture of the drawing so that I will post that so that you can use that as well. And it's pretty much to scale. I followed it. You can see that I trimmed my photograph where I didn't feel that it was necessary. This is a better composition this way. I didn't want the building there to be so important that it took away from these boats. And I love the colors, the green, the red, the blue. I mean, it's just so much fun. So one thing I didn't mask was this long mast. And the reason I didn't is because the paint will pool next to that if I put paint right straight through, and I don't want it to pool. So we're going to do a little experiment. I did mask the little skinny line here, and as you will see, and I will post this picture as well. This is little, but you'll get it big. So I did put it there, so we'll see if that happens there. And because I want this to be a learning experience, not just coming out with a great painting. All right, so I'm going to start at the top. We're going to start with the blue, and we're going to paint down. I'm going to use manganese. I'm going to use deep scarlet for the red. I am going to use amazonite green for the green, and indigo for the blue. But we've got a way to go to get to those fun parts yet. So I've also drawn some people in here, as you can see, and they are my carrot people, as you know. And let me give you a quick discussion on that. So don't think about detail when you draw people. Think about a carrot. So here's a carrot. All right, you put on a head. You can change the leg direction. You can give it a bottom. Here's a bottom on this one. All right. You can have the arms going out. You can do whatever you want with these guys, but just start with a carrot and you got it made. Okay. Don't put a circle, put an oval. And that's all you need. That's really all you need some of these are like 1/4 of an inch tall. I can't think about putting any detail in there. And the color is going to be just gray or black. It's so far away. I don't want to have to worry about that. So, all right. So what do we do if we want to mask something and it's not round? So here's my seagull. And he's actually gray, so I might leave him. I think we'll leave him. And we'll lift the color for that. All right. Next up is our sky. And the only trick about this, I'm going to use a 1-inch flat, and I'm going to have my 1/2 inch flat ready because that's what I'm going to do most of my painting with, is my 1/2 inch flat. So this is kind of a turquoisey blue, and I don't want it to get too dark. Oh, that's nice. That is so nice. All right. Now I'm just going to come down here with some water. And since my table is at a slight slant, I hope the paint kind of moves down. We want to keep it so it doesn't set. But I want it is a watercolor. Don't go getting crazy on me about perfection here. All right. That should do it. It gives us a feel of the sky. Not too dark. It's going to dry lighter. I don't know what those little flecks are. Let's see if we can get some of those out. While it's still wet, I can do that. It's probably just dust from my eraser or something. So that's a good lesson on make sure your workspace is clean before you start something like this. And this is not really a granular color. This I think is cerulean. Oh no, this is manganese. This is not necessarily a granular color, but I do see it settling into the surface of the paper, which I absolutely love. All right. So while that's setting up, I'm going to come down to the foreground and I'm going to start working on the boats. So I'm going to do a little combination of colors here. I'm going to use the Apatite Green Genuine, and I'm mixing it with Prussian. And this part of the boat has some foo-foos on it. So I'm just going to drop some yellow in there. All right. I'm not going to worry about shadows right now. And we got that same color green. I don't know what it is about this green. And I made enough so that there's still some on my palette. Because we're going to need to use that color in the reflection in the water. All right, this is much lighter on this side, so I'm just going to pull that away. And we're not really seeing two sides of this ship, these two ships. All right, let's get our red in there. This has turned out to be one of my favorite colors. It's called Deep Scarlet. And it's just the loveliest warm red ever. Perylene and alizarin crimson are great colors, but they're very cool. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to put it in, clean off my brush, which is dry, fairly dry, and I'm just going to lift away some of that color. All right, now this boat is white. So in case you didn't know, and I learned this, a ship is more than 42 feet long. Otherwise, it's a boat. All right, I'm going to come back in with the green and push it a little bit in here. And then just pull it away. Gives that a little bit of depth. We'll come back and darken this one as well once it's set up. And this one, let's push that as well. Let's really make that nice and strong. Oh, it's looking nautical already. I'm loving it. All right, we've got these buildings in the background. This is still, see how it's still a little warpy? That makes me think doesn't feel wet. The paint is set on there, but I'm worried. So I'm not gonna touch that yet. All right, so our light is coming this way on the ships. Well, this one is a little bit at an angle, so we'll push that just a little bit. So I have found that a really great way to make gray is to add a very dark blue, either indigo or idanthron, to a brown, either raw umber or my new favorite, Yavapai genuine, which will create a very nice kind of gray brown. And the more blue you add, the more gray it gets. So you have a lot of freedom there. All right, we've got this building here, which is very gray. And I'm just going to come in right over. Don't worry about the mast. Don't worry about that big old mast. And just drop some ever so slight color lines. I'm going to come in with some browns and just break up that texture a bit, leaving some white. I do have a mast here. So notice that I'm leaving some white places. I want it to feel a little bit like stone. Now I did mask here because it's got a ladder effect to it, and I just couldn't figure out any way that I really could safely do that. All right, now in that gray that I've made, I'm going to throw some of my deep scarlet, create a reddish brown for over here. It's really important to have a nice 1/2 inch brush, because you can do so many different things with it. It makes a great edge. All right, we got some feel to that there. Oh, we forgot the other green boat. And this one is really dark. So I don't know if these are all part of the same fleet, that they are also green. Now the pieces that I masked here are 2 orange lines, which I thought were very cool. All right. Yeah, the paper's setting down now. So once we get the blue boat in, we can put the water in, and I will let you go then and paint your buildings and your houses and whatever. Well, let's get this roof in. And come back and play with the shadows. Okay, once again, I'm going to lift color. Actually, I think I'm going to intensify this side a little bit. we've got a shadow there, so I can do that, but I want there to be a little more. Well, that's too dark. Lift it back out. Okay, I mean, you could spend hours just on that one building. Let's put in the window panes, coming back with my gray. Which is mostly blue now. This has got some orange reflection in it, which is pretty cool. Just gonna throw a little yellow in there. Gives it some light. So you can see that ladder starting to come out, which you'll understand is why it was so difficult to imagine how to paint that and keep it white. So I guess that's why I haven't invented mask. All right, let's get this wall in. Looks like I missed some drawing here. There's a the wall can't come down as far as the boat. It has to be behind that. All right, we're getting there. Starting to take shape. In good old Padstow, Padstow. If you're ever in England, I recommend it. It's a way cool spot. And there's some great bed and breakfasts and graveyards and all sorts of things out there to visit. Great pub food. Had my first pasty out there. Which is like a hot pocket with meat in it. Oh, there's that nice ladder thing. Just keep moving here. Down to about here then. All right, now we need to pull some out again. Even if it feels like it's bone dry, so I'm just going to lift a little bit of this here. It's still pretty much in the shadow, but we can and over here this is slightly lighter. The side of the building is almost white. So we'll just put some water in there and let that do its thing. Let it be watercolory. Got another roof here. This one's a little grayer. Well, I'll start here since we've got that wet spot over there. And then this building is in shadow. It's off-white. It's a yellow building, but it's in shadow. While we're at it, all right, we got the roofs in. Oh, we don't have all the roofs in. So it's browner. Now I'm not making these black because they really don't look black in the picture. However, this building that is kind of set back here, these do look darker. I think I'm going to hold off on that though. Let's get the color on. So it's kind of a peachy yellow. I'm mixing Quin Gold and Deep Scarlet just to give it a bit of flavor. I added this thing around the bottom here just for interest. And it's got one place right here where the light is shining on it so bright. And we can paint right over these windows because they're going to get very dark. All right, they're looking very flat now. And I'm going to come back in with my manganese and do some shadowing. On a couple of places. We'll clean that up with the navy blue that's going to go in there. All right. Let's go after the water while this is setting up. I think you get the feel of how you can do this. Let me get one more thing in, and that's this. It's kind of ramped up, which I didn't notice when I first started painting it. All right, there's so much more to do with this. Please don't be anxious about it. And you can always go back and intensify. All right, let's do the water, because it's way fun. All right, if you look at this, you can see the reflections. Reflections in the water is always darker than the object that is sitting on the water or beside the water. So we'll make the green a little stronger here, and it comes down to this blue, and I'm going to use sideway brush stroke to the current is actually going this way, with the darkest part being over here. All right, so with that in mind, I used up most of my green. I gotta make some more. So back here, the water is pretty still compared to out here in the open water. So there'll be a blue line in here that's going to define that. All right. Now I've got my gray color that is the brown and the idanthron, and I'm throwing some manganese in there now. So I've got a pretty good puddle there. Don't want too many white spots. That's not dark enough. how it is. Need that really dark. All right, water. Notice I went slightly at a diagonal here. Oop. And I can come back and intensify and change, but it feels wet. And that's the effect we want to get. Now I'm looking at this and realize we've got a white thing up here that's reflecting in the water, so I'm gonna lift a little bit here. And we got some white on the top of here. And we got some white over here. Even some white in here. And white up here. So I'm not painting white, I'm just lifting some color to suggest it. And it's a little bit darker in here with the reflection of the building. So I'm going to put a little bit of brown in there. All right, I think we've got our water. I think we've got our boats. So everything that's left is shadows and detail, and I will leave you to it. I will finish this and post it.